Hey everyone, welcome back to the conclusion of this week talking about technology, society, and recreation. In this video, we're just going to we're going to kind of just summarize things. Why is it that our recreation time now is not having the effect that it should have? And the answer is kind of what we've talked about. First of all, we have less of it. We live in a society that is a cult of productivity. We expect we judge people based on, and we judge ourselves based on how productive we are, how much we accomplish in a day, and what that means is um, we allow that type of thinking to creep outside of your school time or your work time and into other things. We're addicted to efficiency, and so something looks like that looks like it's not a quantifiable thing you're producing looks like a waste of time. We have to stop that way of thinking. You have to think, I'm carving out time because the need for recreation is real. I have to be connecting with people. I have to be creating things. I need to be getting outside in order to have better mental health, better physical health, a more fulfilling life. So we do less of it. It is less creative. We talked about watching TV versus telling stories. Um, Playing video games is a little bit less. It's more of a gray area than that. And then social media obviously is not unless when you're posting it can be creative, but there's all those countervailing effects of being competitive with other people on it. Um, and it's certainly less outside. The average person gets outside for an hour at most during not every person, but the average person is getting outside for an hour or less a day, which is just for a species that evolved outside that needs that sort of connection with nature. This is really not good for us. That's recreation today. Where we want to be considering going is recreation, what it will be like tomorrow. We have a model for this, right? Like our hunter gatherer ancestors were much more happy than we are. They were out in nature. What we have, just before I get all the way over to that, what we have, and I want you to think about this. You've watched movies or TV shows that are dystopian. But I want you to think about our society in those terms. What would a technological dystopia look like for us? I mean, a dystopia is basically a society that is not functioning to create fulfilling and happy lives for people. You can't have a dystopia that is also meeting all of your needs. Um, and what we have here is a world where work is super stressful for us. And then when we're done with work, we end up not doing the things that would help us feel happier and fulfilled because not because of I tend to not think about it as errors in our decision making, but in terms of us being conditioned to want certain things: TV, social media, video games. Um, so it is kind of like we're living in this techno dystopia. We wake up, we have these stresses, we don't relieve them well, we're not connected with people well, and then we go to sleep. And it's hard to see. The only thing that kind of keeps us going is we have this future orientation to, at some point, things will be the way I want them to be. That's dystopian. It's that point always recedes into the future. We have to be able to create this for ourselves now. And really, the key thing is going to be to change that mindset so that you don't think of your recreation time as optional. You carve that out and you build a life around that. And that's the way our hunter gatherer ancestors did. That's the model that I'm talking about. They worked together with their friends and family. Um, and again, that was the work was optional. It wasn't toil for them. It was, I get up and I have this awesome way to play where I'm going to go out and hunt an animal, or I'm going to go out and find the roots and the fruits and stuff that we're going to eat. This is all done playfully. When they got back to camp, they sang and played and talked together. Their whole life, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it was just perfect because, like there weren't antibiotics. Like there's all kinds of things that could go wrong for you. But their life was kind of play. And there's a reason there's a reason that Jared Diamond, wrote this Pulitzer Prize winning history book called Guns, Germs, and Steel, I think, although I think I'm getting the name of it wrong right now. He said that the agricultural revolution was the biggest mistake in the history of human life, meaning it created all kinds of misery that wasn't there before, that people were happier before that. So what do? First of all, try to think about, find an area of interest for yourself, but then try to think of what would a day-to-day job be that allowed you to be playful at it, that allowed you to be creative, that gave you interesting problems that were at a level that you would be able to have some success solving them. That's what you want to think about for a career. It's not just the area that you want to go into. It's what is the day-to-day work going to be like, and can you make it not be toil? Can you make that work be something that feels playful, intrinsically enjoyable to you? Again, not the field, but the actual work that you'd be doing. And in an ideal situation, the hunter-gatherers were different than this, but we live in a capitalist society. For the hunter-gatherers, it was work blended with home life, because it was all play. If you can work for yourself, then you can probably create that. But if you're working for an organization, you want to be sensitive to the idea that you don't want your boss texting you at 10 o'clock at night. And even if your job is intrinsically enjoyable, there has to be, you've got to have some boundaries for that. If you're not in your work time, try to be outside. The outside, we evolved in nature, and we've talked about this when we dealt with sleep. We need sunlight hitting our eyes. We need to experience that, what's some scientists call soft fascination, where you are outside and you are paying attention to just the movement of nature at its own pace. What it's like when the wind blows the leaves, which I know sounds hippie, but it's like it's in us too. Watching waves on the ocean or on a lake, those things are important, and being with other people, music and dance with other people, playing with other people, creating with other people, just talking with other people, away from technology. It's worth saying this is not easy, because of, again, we have been shaped into electronics creatures, tech recreationists that expect stimulation and expect entertainment, and expect it to be quick. What we can have is something deeper, still entertaining, but deeper than that. It just has to be slower, and that takes some time. We're addicted to efficiency, and so don't expect for this to just be smooth, but expect it to be worthwhile if you can persevere. That's it. That's it for this week. Remember that all of this is about creating a fulfilling life for yourself. What the main takeaway from this week is that not just the different ways that you want to have recreation be in your life, but the fact that you want to begin with carving out that, valuing that, not thinking of it as this extra if I get to it, but creating your life around that. We tend to ask people, what do you do, as this identity defining thing. And what we mean by that when we ask that question is, what do you do for work? But a lot of people don't think of themselves A lot of people don't like their jobs. And so really what we need to be thinking about ourselves as is, what do you do recreationally? What is it that is in you to do that is the most enjoyable thing for you? Building your life around that. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys next week.